Imagine if the iconic Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day were completely different from how we remember them. Some scenes altered the very nature of the main characters, others completely redefined the endings, and a few could have cut off the possibility of continuing the story altogether. In this video, we'll show you the most intriguing deleted episodes from the first two Terminator films, ones that could have drastically changed the plot, the perception of the characters, and even the future of humanity in this cinematic universe. You'll find out why Cameron decided to cut these scenes, which moments were considered too emotional, too risky, or simply too awkward to show. So what was the first thing to go in this alternate version? Let's start at the beginning, right where it all began. The first Terminator. James Cameron claims that the idea for the Terminator came to him in a dream, when he was removed from his feature-length directorial debut, Piranha 2: The Spawning. He made a desperate attempt to still be involved in the editing and flew to Rome, where the post-production was taking place. After spending his last money on a ticket, Cameron survived on whatever food he could find and eventually came down with a fever, most likely due to food poisoning. In his delirium, he saw a vision of a metal endoskeleton crawling out of a fire across the floor with kitchen knives. When he woke up, he immediately sketched what would become the basis for a future cinematic hit. He originally conceived a futuristic sci-fi about a liquid metal robot capable of shapeshifting, with the action set entirely in the future. But Cameron knew he would have a limited budget, so he moved the events into the present day and began developing the concept of time travel. He worked through the idea of two Terminators being sent back in time. The first, a cyborg to be defeated by a human. The second, a liquid metal machine. The director considered using clay animation, but realized the technology of the time couldn't deliver the vision of a liquid Terminator. As soon as it became possible, Cameron revived the idea for the sequel Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
So this other guy, he's a Terminator like you, right?
Not like me, a T-1000. Advanced prototype. Liquid metal.
Using the first half of the intended story as the foundation, Cameron began working on the script with his friend William Wisher, discussing it daily over the phone. Wisher wrote the dialogue for early scenes with Sarah Connor and the police station sequences, while Cameron focused on the rest. Interestingly, the time travel concept was based on the idea of a closed time loop, formulated by astrophysicist and cosmologist Igor Dmitrievich Novikov. The final version of his theory was actually published in 1984, the same year the first Terminator was released. Once part of the script was ready, special effects artist Stan Winston joined the project. He created several endoskeleton sketches, but ultimately, the team chose the version drawn by Cameron himself. However, Cameron had to significantly cut his original vision due to budget constraints and technical limitations. One such cut was an intriguing detail about the Terminator. In the director's concept, the cyborg had to eat periodically to maintain its human tissue. The original Terminator script included a scene where he eats a candy bar. A similar idea was even filmed for Terminator 3, but cut due to negative fan reactions. Other scenes cut from the film helped further develop the characters. For example, one of the first deleted scenes highlighted the contrast between Sarah Connor at the beginning of the film and her transformation by the end. In it, she tries to smile at her reflection to psych herself up for work and says,
"Hi, I'm Sarah, and I'll be your waitress." I'm so wholesome I could puke.
This moment emphasizes how unsure and repressed she was, providing a stark contrast to who she becomes later. Two other removed clips fleshed out the personality of Lieutenant Traxler. He is the only character besides Connor who believes Kyle's story about humanity's future. After speaking with Sarah at the police station, he lets his partner know that he's willing to believe Reese. Then, just before dying during the Terminator's assault on the station, he hands Kyle his gun and car keys and tells him to protect Sarah at all costs. One of two scenes where Kyle actually laughs was also cut. While staying at the motel, Sarah starts tickling him and he chuckles. The only other time he smiles is the next morning, when Sarah playfully startles him. Interestingly, all references to Cyberdyne systems were removed from the first film. Sarah finds the company in the phone book and suggests Kyle blow up the building. She realizes there's no point in going to the authorities because they'll just get arrested again, and the Terminator will find them more easily. But she also can't spend her whole life hiding and trying to erase her trail. So she proposes they do something to stop that future from ever happening. It's possible Cameron saved this plot twist for the sequel, or maybe he cut the scene because of a later dramatic moment. In that scene, after a fight with Sarah, Kyle cries alone in the woods, believing their plan probably won't work and the world will be destroyed anyway. Cameron felt this clashed with Reese's hardened soldier persona. Speaking of Cyberdyne systems, turns out the final battle takes place there. In a deleted scene before the credits, the camera pans up to the front of a building showing the company name. So Reese must have accepted Sarah's plan, and they went to the address she found in the phone book. In that same scene, one employee finds an intact microchip in the Terminator wreckage and hands it over to the R&D department. But that was just the beginning. If the first Terminator only slightly lifted the curtain on alternate events, the second film prepared a real surprise for the audience. James Cameron had no intention of stopping. Something much more intriguing and unexpected lay ahead. Now it's time to move on to Judgment Day, a film where the deleted scenes concealed far more than you might expect. The idea to make a sequel to The Terminator came to the creators not long after the original film's 1984 release, which unexpectedly became a huge hit, earning over $78 million on a modest $6 million budget. The movie established James Cameron as one of Hollywood's top directors, and Arnold Schwarzenegger solidified his status as an action star. In fact, Arnie was the one most eager to make a sequel. He felt there was still more of the Terminator's story to tell. However, getting the second movie into production wasn't so simple. Talks about a sequel continued until 1990. In March of that year, Cameron and his friend and co-writer William Wisher began developing a concept that was quite unconventional for a sci-fi action movie. Cameron decided to move away from the original film's themes and focus instead on the almost familial bond between Sarah, John, and the Terminator. In the director's initial concept, Skynet was supposed to send two identical T-800 robots into the past, both played by Schwarzenegger. Wisher thought watching clones battle would bore the audience, so they landed on another one of Cameron's ideas, a liquid metal robot with a medium build, ultimately becoming the upgraded Terminator Model T-1000. Meanwhile, the writers decided to give the T-800 the ability to learn and develop emotions, making it easier for audiences to sympathize with him. The writers weren't thinking about the budget at first, so many of the most ambitious scenes had to be scrapped. Still, Cameron and Wisher consulted regularly with the visual effects studio Industrial Light and Magic to see which ideas could be pulled off on screen. Terminator 2: Judgment Day exists in 4 different versions: the theatrical cut, the special edition, the extended special edition, and the 3D version. In 1993, a special edition of T2 was released with 15 minutes of new and alternate scenes, plus another minute or so of hidden, even more extended footage. For instance, in the special edition, Kyle Reese appears to Sarah in a dream. John tries to teach the T-800 how to smile, and in the scene where the T-800 purposely uses the wrong name for the dog, the T-1000 realizes the dog's real name isn't Wolfie and kills it. In the extended version, he even searches John's room and finds a box of letters from his mother, along with her photographs. Also, the extended version of Judgment Day features an alternate ending. In it, an elderly Sarah narrates the story of the Terminator while watching her grown son play with his daughter. But this finale would have ruled out any continuation of the franchise, so the producers rejected it, and it never made it into the theatrical cut. Interestingly, many of the scenes from the special edition were included in the Australian theatrical release. Meanwhile, the British version had many violent scenes removed in order to secure a milder rating. A 3D version of Judgment Day was released in 2017, in which several bloopers and continuity errors from the original cut were corrected. So we've now seen what these two legendary films could have looked like had the deleted scenes been left in the final versions. And who knows, maybe those details would have changed the way we see the entire story, its characters, or even the whole franchise. Now here's a question for you. Do you think the director should have kept these scenes in the films? Which one, in your opinion, would have had the biggest impact on the story, or on how the characters are perceived? Let us know in the comments. We're excited to see your version of the Terminator.
I'll be back.